The truth they can't accept. 6 false delusions every narcissist believes. In today's video, we're peeling back one of the most troubling and misunderstood layers of narcissistic personality disorder, the delusional thinking that defines their inner world. To many survivors, this aspect becomes clear only after the damage is already done. And psychologists emphasize that understanding this distorted thinking is not about blame, it's about protection. Because if you've ever been entangled with a narcissist, chances are you unknowingly participated in their illusions. You believe their rewritten history, their exaggerated grandeur, or their assumptions of entitlement. Not because you lacked intelligence, but because trauma bonding and emotional manipulation distort perception. And the most powerful step toward freedom is awareness. The more you understand their delusions, the less likely you are to ever fall for them again. Before we dive into the psychological mechanics behind these distortions, I want to welcome new viewers and encourage you to subscribe, especially if you're seeking insight, clarity, and emotional recovery from toxic relationships. Healing from narcissistic abuse, complex PTSD, and trauma bonds is not just about leaving the relationship. It's about rewiring the nervous system and reclaiming your sense of reality. There are resources available, including one-on-one coaching and a step-by-step recovery course, designed to help survivors rebuild clarity, identity, and emotional boundaries. Because knowledge is recovery, and recovery is power. Now, let's step into the architecture of their delusional belief system. One of the most common delusions narcissists hold is the belief that you should be able to read their mind. Psychologists identify this as magical thinking, a cognitive distortion where the narcissist assumes their thoughts and desires should be intuitively known and immediately responded to. If you fail to anticipate their emotional needs or unspoken expectations, they interpret it as defiance or disrespect. This isn't merely irritation, it triggers narcissistic injury, often followed by rage. Survivors frequently describe explosive reactions to situations where no clear instruction was given. And over time, this trains the victim into hypervigilance, scanning tone, body language, facial expressions, desperately trying to predict emotional landmines. This is not partnership. This is psychological conditioning. The first strategy for breaking this pattern is recognizing the truth. No human being is obligated or able to decode another person's unspoken expectations. Next, we examine another deeply rooted delusion, the belief that they should be worshipped. Narcissists move through the world with a subconscious conviction that they are exceptional, superior, and deserving of constant admiration. Clinical experts call this narcissistic entitlement. It's not that they want attention, they believe they are owed it by default. In their mind, you are not a partner, friend, child, or colleague. You are an extension designed to praise, obey, and prioritize them. They expect the household, the conversation, and even emotional energy to orbit around them like planets around a sun. Survivors internalize this belief system slowly, often without realizing it. And once internalized, it becomes normal to apologize for being tired, to silence your needs, or to explain basic emotional boundaries. Healing requires stepping back and acknowledging. Healthy relationships are reciprocal, not hierarchical. Another common delusion is the belief that they are the victim whenever someone does not comply with their demands. This is called victim stance psychology, and it protects the narcissist's fragile ego from accountability. If you set a boundary, disagree, or simply express discomfort, they reinterpret your behavior as hostility. In their worldview, failure to agree equals betrayal, lack of compliance equals cruelty, and any form of independence equals abandonment. Psychologists describe this as a defense mechanism rooted in deeply buried insecurity and unresolved emotional wounds, often stemming from childhood instability or emotional neglect. But recognizing the origin does not excuse the harm. Their inability to process disagreement without perceiving it as an attack leaves the victim walking on emotional glass. Over time, these delusions take a profound toll on the survivor. Gaslighting erodes self-trust. Control destroys autonomy. Hypervigilance rewires the nervous system for survival instead of connection. But here is the breakthrough. Once a survivor learns to recognize the narcissist's delusions, the spell breaks. What once felt like confusion becomes clarity. What once felt personal becomes predictable. and what once felt powerful becomes transparent. The path forward requires boundaries, education, and psychological self-defense. When you refuse to accept their distorted narratives, you begin reclaiming your identity. When you stop trying to read their mind or live up to impossible expectations, you disrupt the conditioning. And when you finally recognize that their perception of you is not the truth, but a reflection of their disorder, you step back into your own reality. And that moment marks the beginning of emotional freedom. But the truth is this: the moment you internalize their delusion and treat it as truth, the narcissist wins, because now they no longer need to convince you that you are less than them. You start convincing yourself. And psychologically, this is the most dangerous point of narcissistic conditioning. At this stage, the victim's brain, after repeated exposure to manipulation, gaslighting, and intermittent reinforcement, begins rewiring itself to survive, not to question. The person becomes more compliant, more silent, more self-doubting. Trauma bonding at its peak feels like loyalty, attachment, or even love, but it is survival instinct dressed as devotion. From a clinical perspective, this is how emotional abuse becomes internalized. The victim learns to prioritize the narcissist's comfort over their own reality. The brain begins suppressing emotional pain because acknowledging it would mean confronting the horrifying truth that the person you trusted is destroying you. Survivors often describe this as losing their sense of identity, not overnight, but piece by piece, in subtle exchanges that make them believe they must earn kindness or tolerate cruelty as a normal part of love. And tragically, this conditioning makes the narcissist's worldview feel normal, even justified. Next, there is the stage where the narcissist's delusion shifts into panic, usually when they sense they are losing control. Suddenly, the same person who claimed you meant nothing now acts as though losing you would destroy them. This is not love. This is possession mixed with ego injury. Psychologically, narcissists cannot tolerate abandonment because they rely on external validation to maintain their fragile inner identity. When you leave emotionally, mentally, or physically, it exposes their internal emptiness. They are not fighting for you. They are fighting for the supply you provided: attention, validation, admiration, or the emotional reactions they fed off like fuel. This is why, after a breakup or separation, narcissists often attempt hoovering, sending messages, love bombing again, crying, apologizing, promising change, or suddenly acting like the partner they should have been all along. But these emotional shifts are not rooted in accountability. They are survival mechanisms. From a psychological viewpoint, narcissists lack true empathy and introspection because confronting their flaws threatens their fragile, unstable sense of self. Apologies from narcissists are almost always transactional, conditional, or manipulative. They are not admissions of guilt. They are strategies to regain power. If the victim returns after this cycle, the abuse usually escalates. Why? Because now the narcissist sees themselves as proven right. They believe, you came back. That means I own you. And if I can break you once, I can break you again. This mindset, though deeply disturbing, follows predictable psychological patterns. Power, control, and ego maintenance are the core motivators. Not love, not respect, and not partnership. And here's the part survivors struggle most to accept. A narcissist does not collapse because they lost you emotionally. They collapse because they lost access to what you provided. But the victim, unlike the narcissist, collapses because they lost their own identity in the process. So what helps the healing? Psychologically, the path forward requires 3 foundational steps. 1. Radical reality acceptance. Recognize that what you experienced was abuse, not a misunderstanding, not a relationship phase, not something you caused. Acceptance is painful, but it restores clarity and protects you from returning. 2. Boundaries without explanation. A narcissist sees boundaries as disrespect, disloyalty, or attack. You do not need to negotiate or justify your right to peace. Boundaries are not for them, they are for you. 3. Rebuilding identity and self-trust. Through therapy, journaling, somatic healing, or trauma-informed support, survivors must relearn who they were before the conditioning. Healing means reclaiming agency over your thoughts, emotions, and worth. Because the harsh truth is, a narcissist may never change, but you can. And once you break free, not just physically but mentally, the narcissist's collapse becomes irrelevant, because their downfall is not your responsibility. Your healing is.